if you're not doing this one thing, you're leaving a lot of opportunity on the table. If you're trying to get a job as a junior developer and all you're doing is sending out resumes, you're most likely not going to get any responses. And then you're going to get really frustrated. And then you're going to go into my comments and say, see, Paul, there are no junior developer jobs out there. Believe it or not, sending out resumes is the easiest and the worst way to get hired. A lot of people don't like to hear this, but when I tell them all my jobs from my very first job that I got as a WordPress developer, all the way to my React jobs and to the current job that I have working at Strappy, I got through a referral, somebody that I knew, someone that I met. And that is the fact, is that you're most likely to get a job by being referred to or by someone you know. And a lot of people don't want to hear this, but the truth is that's how the world works. People are more likely to recommend people that they know and they like. Granted, you still need to have the skill. So when you're sending resumes, the biggest issue there is they don't know you. And B, all the companies that hiring, even at Strappy, when a job posting goes live, they ask us internally in the team to be like, hey, do you know anyone that you could recommend? So the first dibs for a job position goes to someone that's going to be recommended internally from someone in that company. And so resumes is the worst way to get hired. And if you're just doing that, I don't blame you when you get upset that there's no opportunity. So what I want to talk today about is why you should be getting out there and networking, and not on LinkedIn, not on Twitter, but actually talking to real people. So I want to tell you a story to kind of highlight how important this is. I am in Thailand, in Bangkok, don't have that many friends here, and I don't actually, I'm an introvert. People don't believe this. And so I came up with this challenge to get myself out of the house where I said, I'm going to go to 5 different meetups and I'm going to try to meet as many people as I can and try to create a connection and see if I could help them in any way. Yeah, that does sound scary, but you know what? That's kind of something that you would have to do. So I actually went to my first meetup. And by the way, if you're trying to figure out what type of meetup to go to get hired, going to like a meetup like React or Next.js, like framework specific meetup that might be local in your area is kind of cool. And you can meet a lot of great people that could help you get hired. But I want to talk about another type of meetup that you should go to because it's going to A, teach you how to talk to other people that have the power to hire you, and B, learn a lot in the process. And that's going to entrepreneurial meetups where basically most of the people that are going to be there are people who have companies or have their own businesses or their own products, or going to any other business oriented meetup where it's a bunch of founders who have companies and they talk about different strategies. And that's the type of meetups that I'm planning to go here in Bangkok. So I'm going to go to a lot of different digital nomad, entrepreneurial meetups, founder meetups. So the first meetup I went to, it was a mix of entrepreneurials, folks. It was a bunch of founders, and then it also had a lot of folks that had their own businesses. And what I did, I just sat there, listened to what people had to say. I introduced myself, and you have to really make an effort to talk to people. So a lot of times when I'm in a place like this, I kind of tend to kind of back away and kind of like find myself and not want to talk to anybody. And when I catch myself doing it, I make sure I lean forward and I kind of actively try to listen. And once you talk to people, you should ask questions about their business. So typical interaction, hey, my name is blah, blah, blah. And they tell you a bunch of stuff and then they'll probably ask you what you do. And you could be like, I'm a software engineer. This is what I love, blah, blah, blah. You tell them like some of the projects you build, and then you ask them what do they do. And then you say things like, wow, that's actually like really cool and interesting. And then you ask them questions about their business. And eventually what I like to do is I like to ask them, what is the hardest thing that they find that they're working on? Or what are some of the struggles that they're facing in their business? And sometimes they'll tell you something that's irrelevant to the skill set that you have, or maybe it's way beyond your head. But it's still interesting to kind of do this exploratory conversation where you genuinely ask people what are some of the things that they're struggling with, and you try to figure out, A, can you help them personally, or do you know somebody else that you could connect them to? And so I had a conversation with lots of people, but 3 people that stood out. I met a wonderful girl from China who had her own clothing line, and she had her own web store. Then I met somebody who's in AI space and does a lot of public speaking around the topic. And I also met someone who was working there in the healthcare self-improvement industry, and they were working on an application. And while talking to all of them and asking these questions, like what are some of the things you're struggling or what do you do? And in certain cases, you're going to talk to someone, you're going to be like, they got it figured out. They don't need my help. So then you go to like, how much can I learn from them? So like the public speaking dude that I met, I just asked him like, how did he become good? How did he get gigs? How does he do this? So for him, I was like, there's not much I could offer him as a software engineer. So let me steal as much knowledge from him around like public speaking. How can I do things to improve myself? And so if you can't help them, at least you could learn as much as you can. But the two other people that I chatted with, the girl with the e-commerce store, because this is something that I'm fairly familiar with, I asked her what some of the struggles that she has. Is there something that I could help her with? And as we continued the conversation, we decided that we could talk a little bit more. So I scheduled a follow-up meeting with her over coffee. And then I'll discuss more to see, is there actually anything I could do to help her? And then the other gentleman that I talked to who's in the self-improvement industry in terms of like self-care, he's actually working on an app that he's trying to release. And he literally told me one of the hardest things that he was having is trying to figure out their UI. It's okay, but it feels like something is not there. And so I said to him, hey, let's meet over lunch. You could show me what you're working on, and I could see if I could have any feedback for you or any help that I could provide. And again, these conversations don't guarantee that you're going to get hired, but you're practicing the most important skill, which is talking to people, figuring out what their needs are, and then trying to see, can you help them directly, or do you know somebody else that could help them? And if you can't help them directly and you know somebody else and you connect them, that they're going to think of you as a person that helped them out. And in the future, when you do either have the skill to help them, or they might have a new project where they're like, hey, I met Paul, he helped me with this, he connected me with this person, maybe he could help me out on this new project, and people will reach out to you. And so building these personal connections where you genuinely try to ask people what they're struggling with, how you could help them, or if you can't, hook them up with somebody else, or just continue to have the conversation and learn as much as you can from them. Because by learning and by talking, you actually identify what's trending in the industry. So one thing that I will tell you, and I'll make a whole designated video about it, a lot of folks that I talk to who are entrepreneurs are really excited on this whole AI train. And they're really all about automation and trying to do as much things with AI as possible. So that way they could have lean teams and they could get more done. And what that really said to me is that if I want to continue on my journey as a software engineer, it's not just doing the front end, but it's actually learning some of these different AI tools that are available that businesses use to automate things to get more stuff done. And so as I continue to pivot and grow as a software engineer, I'm starting to focus more on AI implementation, tooling, specifically in ways that could help businesses to automate certain tasks. And again, I wouldn't have not confirmed that until I talked to business owners that are actually doing those things. So I don't want to make this video too long, but if you're not going to meetups, specifically to meetups with people that have the ability to hire you, people that own businesses, go to entrepreneurial meetups, go to any meetups that has anything to do with founders, and go there to learn, listen, and if you have an opportunity, when it makes sense, when they tell you about certain thing that they're doing, because you asked them what troubles they were having you, if it matches something that you could help them with, say, hey, this is actually something that I'm really good at. This is what I recommend, lead with value, and eventually that relationship could lead to opportunity. And if you can't help them and you know somebody else, make that connection, because then they're going to think of you for the next time. And if you think I'm totally making this stuff up, I've been putting this stuff to practice all my life. And so a lot of people say to me, Paul, you're just so lucky because these opportunities fall in your hand. And if that's what you want to feel like, it's luck, then you're doing yourself disservice, because you're setting yourself a belief that people that have accomplished certain things accomplish them because they got lucky. No. Luck is important. It's like they say, luck is when hard work and opportunity get together. And so what I want to say to you, if you're not in social networking, you're not getting out there, getting your first job as a software engineer is going to be very difficult. And you don't have to take my word for it, but I did want to make this video to kind of share my experience and how I've been able to accomplish switching careers in my mid-30s to becoming a software engineer. And here's the thing that I'm going to tell you. I am 45 years old. I've been in so many different industries that are not software engineering, and every industry that I have been, every opportunity I had, every position I got was through social networking, talking to real people, understanding their needs and seeing if I could help them. If you don't want to believe me, I don't care. I'm just telling you what my reality has been. And there's two types of people in the world. People that will continue to make excuses and never get anything done. And I used to be one of those people. And the number one lesson I learned, if it's meant to be, it's up to me, right? It's the things that I do. So if something's not happening in my life, I have to figure out what I need to change. So you have to take responsibility for yourself. The fact that you might say there's no junior developer jobs, don't blame the company, don't blame the next person next to you that doesn't want to hire you, right? Ask, why specifically am I not getting hired? And usually the answer is you don't qualify, or B, you haven't talked to enough people, or 3, you haven't found the right opportunity that fits you because you're just blindly sending your resumes. And so the reason why I want to share this with you, because I genuinely want to help you and tell you what has worked for me. And I am literally doing the thing that I told you in this video. I am in Thailand. Don't know anybody except my ex who lives here, but she's not gonna hire me because that's not the type of stuff she does. But I went to a meetup and I already made 3 connections that could potentially lead to a job opportunity, which is kind of crazy. And so that's actually what I'm doing. You could either agree with me or disagree with me. You could trash the comment section by telling me I don't know what I'm talking about, which is perfectly fine. But for those of you who really listen to what I just said and you implement this idea of constantly making connections, you're gonna see improvements in your life. That's all I have for this video. But with that being said, I'll see y'all later.